A 19-year-old Melanie Perkins sat in her mother's living room, flipping through her university yearbook. She was frustrated. Designing layouts for the yearbook was a nightmare. Software like Adobe Photoshop and InDesign was clunky, expensive, and so complex it felt like you needed a degree just to make a simple poster. Melanie wasn't alone in her annoyance. Her friends, classmates, and even her professors grumbled about the same problem. Design tools were built for professionals, leaving beginners stranded. She saw an opportunity to fix this. Why couldn't design be simple, intuitive, and accessible to everyone? She didn't have the answers yet, but she had a spark. An idea that would grow into a global phenomenon. Melanie, a design enthusiast with no formal training, dreamed of a world where anyone could create beautiful graphics without the headache. That frustration planted the seed for Canva, a company that would one day shake the giants of the design world. At the University of Western Australia, Melanie was studying communications, not coding or business. But she was curious and relentless. She started small, launching Fusion Books, a platform to help schools create yearbooks online. It was her testing ground. With her boyfriend, Cliff Obrecht, she built a basic website that let users drag and drop images and text to design yearbook pages. It wasn't perfect, but it worked. Schools loved it because it was easy and affordable. Melanie realized she was on to something bigger than yearbooks. If she could make design this simple for students, why not for everyone? The early days were tough. Melanie and Cliff had no money, no investors, and no tech experience. They worked out of Melanie's mother's house, scraping by on savings and small profits from Fusion Books. Melanie taught herself the basics of web design and leaned on Cliff for operational support. They were a scrappy team, fueled by coffee and a shared dream. But turning an idea into a global platform was daunting. They needed coders, servers, and funding, none of which they had. In 2010, Melanie pitched her idea at a startup event in Perth. She called it Canva, a name inspired by the word canvas, symbolizing a blank slate for creativity. Investors were intrigued but skeptical. A 19-year-old with no tech background taking on Adobe. It sounded like a long shot. Still, her passion was infectious. She spent months refining her pitch, knocking on doors, and facing rejection after rejection. Many dismissed her as too young, too inexperienced, or too ambitious. But Melanie didn't give up. She believed in her vision, a world where anyone, anywhere could design anything. The first big hurdle was building the technology. Melanie needed a platform that worked entirely in the browser, something rare in 2010. Most design software required downloads and powerful computers, but Canva had to be cloud-based and user-friendly. She recruited Cameron Adams, a talented engineer with a knack for simplifying complex systems. Cameron shared her vision and brought the technical expertise she lacked. Together, they started building Canva's core, a drag-and-drop interface that felt like magic to users. Funding was another challenge. Melanie and Cliff bootstrapped Canva with Fusion Books revenue, but they needed serious capital to scale. In 2012, after countless pitches, they secured $1.6 million from angel investors in Australia. It was a lifeline, but it came with pressure. They had to deliver a product that lived up to the hype. Melanie hired a small team and they worked around the clock in a tiny Sydney office. The team was young, scrappy, and inexperienced. But they shared Melanie's drive to democratize design. When Canva launched in 2013, it was a game changer. The platform offered templates for everything: posters, social media graphics, presentations, all free or low cost. Users didn't need to install software or spend hours learning tools. They could log in, pick a template, and create something beautiful in minutes. The response was overwhelming. Within months, Canva had thousands of users, from students to small business owners. People loved its simplicity and affordability, but growth brought problems. Canva's servers struggled to handle the traffic. The team worked late nights fixing bugs and scaling infrastructure. Melanie faced criticism too. Some called Canva design for dummies, arguing it lacked the depth of Adobe's tools. She took it in stride. Canva wasn't trying to replace Adobe for professionals. It was for the millions who felt left out by complex software. Still, the comparison to Adobe loomed large. The design giant had a stranglehold on the industry, with tools like Photoshop and Illustrator dominating for decades. Could a startup from Australia really compete? Melanie doubled down on accessibility. Canva's freemium model let anyone use the platform for free, with premium features for a small fee. This opened the door for schools, nonprofits, and small businesses that couldn't afford Adobe's steep prices. The team also focused on templates, adding thousands for every imaginable use case. By 2015, Canva had over 1 million users, and investors were taking notice. A $6 million funding round from Silicon Valley heavyweights gave them the resources to expand. The turning point came in 2016 when Canva introduced Canva for Work, later Canva Pro. This was Melanie's answer to businesses needing more robust tools, team collaboration, brand kits, and advanced templates. It wasn't just for hobbyists anymore. Canva was now a tool for professionals, marketers, and startups. The platform's growth exploded. By 2017, Canva had 10 million users across 179 countries, and its valuation hit $1 billion, making it a unicorn startup. Melanie, still in her early 20s, was now a tech star. Beating Adobe wasn't about outmuscling them in features. It was about outsmarting them in reach. Adobe's tools were powerful but intimidating. Canva was approachable, fun, and inclusive. Melanie's team leaned into this, targeting non-designers, teachers, entrepreneurs, influencers who needed quick professional results. They also embraced mobile, launching apps that let users design on the go. Adobe was slow to adapt to the cloud and mobile, giving Canva a crucial edge. Marketing was where Canva shone. Melanie didn't have a big budget for celebrity endorsements, so she focused on community. Canva's blog offered design tips, tutorials, and inspiration, building trust with users. They partnered with influencers and small businesses, encouraging them to share Canva creations on social media. User-generated content became Canva's megaphone, spreading the word organically. The platform's vibrant templates and drag-and-drop ease made every user feel like a designer, and they proudly shared their work online. Canva also tapped into education. Melanie, a former teacher's assistant, knew schools were strapped for resources. Canva offered free accounts for educators, empowering teachers to create engaging materials. This move won hearts and built loyalty. By 2019, over 20,000 schools used Canva, embedding it in classrooms worldwide. Students grew up using Canva, ensuring its place in the next generation's toolkit. Hardships didn't vanish with success. As Canva grew, so did competition. Adobe launched Express, a simplified tool aimed directly at Canva's market. Other startups like Trello and Figma also entered the fray. Melanie's team had to innovate constantly. They added video editing, presentations, and even a print service, letting users order physical products like posters and business cards. Each feature was a gamble, stretching the team's resources thin. But Melanie's focus on user feedback kept Canva ahead. She spent hours reading user emails, ensuring every update solved real problems. Another challenge was culture. As Canva scaled to hundreds of employees, maintaining its scrappy, mission-driven vibe was tough. Melanie prioritized hiring people who believed in democratizing design. She fostered a workplace where ideas could come from anyone, not just executives. This kept Canva nimble, even as it grew into a global company. By 2020, Canva's valuation soared to $6 billion. Melanie, Cliff, and Cameron were no longer just dreamers. They were industry disruptors. Canva wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. Its user base grew to 55 million, with 90% outside Australia. The platform supported 100 languages, making it a global tool for creativity. Melanie's vision of accessibility had paid off. The real magic of Canva was its impact. It empowered a single mom to design flyers for her bakery, a teacher to create engaging lesson plans, a nonprofit to craft compelling campaigns, all without breaking the bank. Canva didn't just challenge Adobe, it redefined who could be a designer. It gave power to the underdog, the beginner, the dreamer. Today, Canva is valued at over $40 billion, and Melanie, still in her 30s, is one of the world's youngest female billionaires. From a living room in Perth to a global empire, her journey is a testament to grit and vision. Canva didn't just make design easy, it made it universal. Melanie's story isn't about beating Adobe, it's about opening doors for millions, proving that a 19-year-old with a bold idea could change the world, one drag and drop at a time.